We are just hours away from polls opening in the state of Pennsylvania, and the Republican Senate primary is very close. Trump-endorsed Dr. Mehmet Oz leads the polls, but Kathy Barnett, who until a week ago was an unknown, seems to have some serious momentum. On the Democratic side, Senate primary frontrunner and Lieutenant Governor John Fetterman is now recovering from a stroke he had over the weekend, but he is still in the race. So let's discuss and welcome back A.B. Stoddard, veteran Washington journalist and associate editor and columnist for Real Clear Politics, and Tim Miller, contributor to The Bulwark and former communications director for Jeb Bush. A.B., Tim came in pearl, so he gets to go first. Tim, Kathy Barnett is as far right as they come. And people keep saying that these new pictures that have emerged of her that show she was marching in Washington on January 6th, these pictures are going to be a problem for her. But are they? If you were somebody who is already in her ultra MAGA corner, is marching on January 6th a problem or a bonus?
Yeah, I saw those pictures this morning, Steph, and I thought she might be getting a 2 or 3 point bump in the primary out of it. Sadly, I wish you have to do a little macabre humor sometimes with the state of affairs in this race. But look at who Barnett's running against. Just for some context on this Pennsylvania primary, the original front runner, the original person that got all the endorsements was David McCormick, hedge fund guy, who is a classic, Davos moderate Republican, globalist, right? But he was pretending to be ultra MAGA. He rolled out on Breitbart saying that he was going to do the full MAGA, which was just never believable on its face. I did a whole profile on the Bulwark if people want to read more. But the only thing he had going for him is that the other candidate in the race was even phonier than him. It was Dr. Oz, who was a socially liberal, television star, also pretending to be a MAGA nationalist, which was also ridiculous. So in the last week or two, I don't think it's surprising that someone who is of the crazy, who actually believes the crazy, who was there on January 6th, who isn't pretending that they believe in voter fraud, would get momentum in this race. And so I don't know if it'll be enough for her to win. I think it's going to end up being a close race. But I think that what we're learning here is that, we all had that talk about the Glenn Youngkin model. The Glenn Youngkin model only worked because it was an off-year election and he didn't have to face voters. Republican voters want real MAGA. I wish it weren't the case, but that's what they want. Kathy Barnett is giving it to them while the other two guys are obvious fakers. And so that's where we've landed.
Then given that, A.B., David McCormick is a Davos darling married to a Goldman partner. Mehmet Oz is a TV star who has very little connection even to the state of Pennsylvania. Given that, how do these two men with hours to go think they can win over any of Barnett's supporters? What could they even say?
Right. They were really caught off guard by this, Steph. The surge was perfectly late that all the stars have aligned for Kathy Barnett. And as you said, those photos will only endear her more to these primary voters who don't like Oz and McCormick, who believe they're both carpetbaggers and phonies, and find her incredibly authentic. She's the unpolitician. She says whatever she feels. Timing, again, was unbelievable. After the leak of the draft opinion from Justice Alito, she has this amazing video out to go to the heart of the primary electorate about how she was the result of a rape of her 11-year-old mother, and she still believes in no exceptions as a pro-lifer for rape or incest or anything else. Ann Coulter is going gaga over her on Twitter. Everyone thinks she's the real deal, and now she's gotten the endorsement of Scott Perry, her Pennsylvania congressman who is under subpoena from the January 6th committee and had a role in the 2-month coup plot. So I think if you're Oz and McCormick, you just ran into a buzzsaw of bad luck because of the 7 days she had to have all of these things come into place. And the fact that even though Trump said she's really trouble and can't win the general election, he then goes and endorses Mastriano for governor, which the entire Republican Party of Pennsylvania is in a blind panic about. He runs with Kathy Barnett. Their signs are posted together. They are a ticket. And so he is likely to pull her over the line.
I don't understand the blind panic then, because here we are with guys like Sean Hannity going after Barnett, attacking her for marching on January 6th. Yet Elise Stefanik, Tim, you just wrote about her, has risen to power within the GOP, once a moderate, and now she's been appealing to the darkest instincts of the base. So what's the game plan for the top of the party for Republican leadership?
Here's the difference between Elise and Kathy, Steph, is that Elise plays the inside game. The whole farce of the MAGA movement is that they claim to be, outsiders that are going after the old establishment. But there's just a new establishment that's replaced the old establishment, and it's a MAGA establishment. And what they want is people that they know that they can trust to do what Donald Trump says the next time he tries to steal elections. They want someone that they know they can trust to actually win elections and beat Democrats and stay on message and go along with Mitch McConnell. And appoint judges. And this is what Elise Stefanik is. She is owned by Donald Trump because her whole career has been made by the fact that she quit being an old school Tim Miller style moderate Republican and threw in with Trump. Trump can't control Kathy Barnett. She's not all that good at this. If you watch her doing Fox interviews, she doesn't know what she's going to say. She doesn't know the answer to the question. She doesn't have her talking points. And so these guys that all claim to be outsiders, they don't want a real outsider. They want a person that they can control that will go along with the Trump program. Elise will do that. She's just phony enough to do it, and Kathy Barnett isn't. And that's really the difference. It has nothing to do with them actually thinking she's too extreme or disagreeing with any of her positions. They're fine with all those positions as long as the person stays on message.
Well, all eyes on PA tomorrow. A.B. Stoddard, Tim Miller, thank you both so much.